Hello, and welcome to the Venue Coach Blueprint for Owners. I'm Kyle Labar. This podcast is all about helping you fill your wedding venue with more bookings, earn more from each one, and keep your customers happy for a long time. We'll also talk about some tough times and big lessons that I've learned along the way. Let's dive in together and make your venue the best spot for weddings. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Venue Coach. And in today's episode, I wanted to share with you how we do our salary and our compensation plans for our manager. And so that way, it's not that this is like the best or the one size fits all or whatever, but this is what we've seen after having a manager that was on a different payment plan, our compensation structure, and then our existing one. And so the differences and why I like the new way that we've done it the best. And if it's useful for you, I just want to share it so that everybody can learn and grow together and be better in their business. And so that's my hope, is that this episode can help you protect yourself and protect your venue a bit better, especially in the event that you have a less than optimal manager that you have in place. And so let's get right into it. So first I'll talk about our first manager that we had on the previous compensation plan, and then I'll talk about why we made, or the switch that we made, and then why we made the switch. And so initially we had our manager, our ex-manager I should say, and we were just paying a flat salary of a certain amount, and we were paying that, and then we had discussed a compensation plan for bonuses and that sort of thing for hitting different sales quotas. But we found that, among other things, there's many reasons of why she's no longer working with us, but a piece of that was I don't think that there was enough motivation around the compensation plan, and so we needed to readjust that. But on the other side of that, because our manager wasn't performing very well, and eventually that led to her being fired, that we had to also protect ourselves and the business by restructuring how we paid out. And so that way we could, in the event that we had another bad manager, are we paying out more than we should? And not, we want to avoid wasting money on a bad manager. And so we built our compensation structure around that. So I'm just going to use generic numbers to give the example to make the math easy, but it's the same framework that we use when coming up with this compensation plan. So let's just say our base pay for the previous manager was $5,000 a month. And there was a commission there, but we had never ironed it out because it was never um, available to her because she wasn't hitting her numbers. But with that being said, we were willing to pay $5,000 in this example to our new manager. But we also needed to make sure that we're covering our baseline. And so that's where you need to know what your minimum booking rate is to break even and then add one to that. So it's not just your break even amount, but you need one more, and that's the baseline. So for us, we needed 6 bookings. Well, 5 and then plus 1 was 6 for our manager. And so what we did was 5,000 was the goal, and that was 10 bookings per month as the goal. So we just divided 5,000 by 10, and there's 500, and then we multiply 500 by 6, gives us 3,000. So that's the base pay. And then what we do for the bonus is anything above 6 for the month, so 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on, that's a $500 commission for the month. And and so that happens regardless of the month. And as long as our manager is hitting the minimum amount and averaging the minimum amount, then there's no problems. And that's one of the requirements for the job, is that our manager maintains at least 6 bookings per month. And so if they're not hitting that, then that's grounds for termination. Um, anyways, so the other portion of the payout is based on monthly averages, so an end of the year bonus. And so the expectation is at least six per month on an average. And so 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on have a stacking bonus. And so in this example, 7 on average would be $2,000, for example. And then 8 on average would be $4,000. 9, 8,000, we did 10 at 16, and then each additional one, so 11 or 12, would be an additional 4,000 on top of the 16. Now this isn't stacking in the sense that it's not 2 and then 4 and then an additional 8 and 16. No, it's progressive. So either you get the 2 or you get the 4 or you get the 8. And so we built it out that way to really incentivize on the short term and on the long term. So our manager sees immediate results from her efforts each month. And so, for instance, in January, she had 16 bookings. And so we paid out the additional 10 in commission. And then she had, I think it was 8 last month in February. And so we paid an additional 2. And this month she's at 7 or 8. And so we'll pay 1 or 2 based on that, unless she closes more today, being the end of the month. And so it's just about that and she's really fired up and anxious to get her goals because it just means more pay for her, and it's directly based on how well she's selling. And so the other piece of it is we have a requirement for a minimum conversion rate. And so one leads to the other, right? So our minimum conversion rate expected is 50%. And so if she starts falling below that and not hitting her numbers in terms of overall bookings, then we have a big problem and we have to reevaluate. But the reason why we have a lower base pay is just in case that happens. So that way we're protecting our downside risk and not paying out more cash on a manager that is not going to be sticking around with us. And so that's really the breakdown. And now this isn't, like I said, this isn't the end all be all. It's not the best system ever, but it's something that we've been using to help us, and those are the reasons why. And so I think that there might be some merit there, but I would also like to hear from you guys on how you structure your pay for your managers, because if we can find something that's even better than that, then I would love to explore that. Regardless, if you found this episode useful or helpful in any way, please comment, subscribe, share it, and let me know. I really want to know what you guys are doing in terms of your payout or payments and compensation plans for your managers. And really hope you found this useful. And I will catch you guys in the next one.